The sun had barely cleared the ridge when the people of Red Rock Crossing gathered on Boot Hill. They stood in silence, hats in hand, watching as a pine box was lowered into the dry, rocky soil. Inside lay Cole Maddox, the fastest gun and the blackest soul many believed the territory had ever known. For years, Maddox's name had ridden on the wind like a curse. He'd robbed, killed, and terrorized every town from the Rio Grande to the northern plains. Only yesterday, Sheriff Tom Doolin had finally put him down in a storm of gunfire outside the livery stable. The town doctor swore the outlaw was dead before he hit the ground. No one doubted it, and yet, as the undertaker nailed the lid shut and the preacher mumbled half-hearted prayers, a strange unease prickled through the crowd. Maddox had been too big, too dangerous, too alive to be ended so quickly. As still, the grave was filled, the mound patted down, and the townsfolk drifted back to their lives with a shared sigh of relief. For the first time in years, Red Rock Crossing thought it might sleep easy, but that night, the town did not sleep. Dogs howled until their throats gave out. Lamps flickered and went dark in houses along Main Street. A drunk swore he saw a figure leaning against the hitching post outside the saloon, though no one else saw it. By morning, whispers ran faster than the stagecoach. Boot Hill had been disturbed. The undertaker claimed it was coyotes, but his eyes darted like a man hiding something. Sheriff Doolin dismissed it all with a growl, though he himself had been seen pacing his porch long past midnight, revolver on his hip. The following evening, the Silver Spur Saloon was as alive as a Sunday fair. Miners, ranch hands, and drifters crowded around the card tables. Whiskey flowed, laughter rose above the piano's twang, and for the first time in months, people felt safe enough to enjoy themselves. That was when the doors swung open. A hush fell, as sudden and sharp as a blade. Cole Maddox stood there, his hat shadowed his face, his boots were caked in dry earth, and a faint smell of damp soil seemed to drift with him. His eyes were pale, colder than any man's ought to be. He walked with the easy swagger the town remembered too well, the same swagger they'd buried yesterday. The dealer dropped his cards. A woman screamed. Glass shattered on the floor. Men stumbled back, chairs clattering. Maddox didn't flinch. He strode to the bar, leaned against the counter, and in a voice low and steady said, "Whiskey." The bartender's hand shook so badly the bottle rattled against the glass. He poured anyway. Maddox lifted the drink, sniffed it, and swallowed. Then he turned and looked across the saloon at the men who'd buried him. "Impossible," someone whispered. "He's dead. I saw him in that box." "It's a trick," another said. "Somebody playing us." But no one dared get close enough to test the theory. Sheriff Doolin pushed through the crowd, his face pale but his jaw set. His hand hovered near his holster. "You're not Cole Maddox," he barked. "You can't be." Maddox looked at him, slow and deliberate. "You shot me, Sheriff. You watched me fall." He set the glass down. "But here I am." The sheriff's hand twitched, but he didn't draw. For the first time, the people of Red Rock saw fear on Doolin's face. Maddox didn't fire his gun or make a move toward anyone. He just sat at a table and motioned for cards. No one dared sit with him, but the dealer dealt anyway, his hands trembling. Hour by hour, the outlaw played. And every so often, he lifted his eyes, fixing them on someone in the room: the undertaker, whose face went gray. The preacher, who spilled his drink. Sheriff Doolin, who clenched his jaw tighter with every glance. It became clear, this wasn't a man come back for random vengeance. He was here for unfinished business. The town began to unravel under Maddox's gaze. The undertaker confessed first, trembling in the corner. He'd stolen trinkets from the very body he'd buried. Gold teeth, a pocket watch. He swore Maddox's grave had been disturbed only because he'd gone back to cover his tracks. The preacher followed, voice breaking. Years earlier, he had betrayed a penitent who confessed Maddox's name, feeding information to the sheriff in exchange for protection, but the heaviest shadow fell on Sheriff Doolin himself. Maddox's eyes never left him for long. "You killed me dirty, Sheriff," Maddox said one night as the storm winds howled outside. "Not for justice. For yourself." Doolin's face twisted. He tried to bluster, to call Maddox a liar, but the outlaw's presence was like a noose tightening around his throat. On the third night, the saloon was nearly empty. Only the sheriff, the bartender, and a few stubborn souls remained when Maddox rose from his chair. He stepped into the center of the room. His boots left faint smudges of dust, as if Boot Hill itself clung to him. The sheriff's hand shook on his holster. But when he looked into Maddox's eyes, he saw something more terrifying than bullets. He saw truth, and the truth broke him. Sheriff Doolin dropped his gun to the floor. In a ragged voice, he confessed how he had ambushed Maddox, shooting him not in a fair fight but in the back, to silence secrets Maddox carried. Secrets of stolen money, of bribes the sheriff had taken, of law twisted for profit. The words spilled out like poison, filling the saloon. Maddox listened, silent. When the sheriff's confession ended, the outlaw simply nodded once. Then, before the stunned eyes of the few who remained, his figure began to fade. The hat sagged, the coat sagged, the body thinned into shadow. His boots crumbled into dust that scattered across the floorboards. Within moments, there was nothing left. Only the faint smell of earth, and the sheriff's broken confession ringing in the air. Sheriff Doolin was arrested the next morning. The preacher resigned his post, the undertaker left town, and Red Rock Crossing would never again speak the name Cole Maddox above a whisper. On quiet nights, some claimed they could still hear bootsteps crossing the saloon floor. But no one dared look too closely. Of the bartender, polishing a glass with shaking hands, said it best, "The dead don't walk, unless they've got a reason." And in Red Rock Crossing, everyone knew that reason had been justice.